never mind. Mic check 1 2. 1 2 3. Can you hear me now? Yay! Let's take this from the top. Once again, Falados. I'm Falados, and I'm down here in the console. Great that I have 3 people or however many people watching, and I completely screwed up the start of this for the first time in my 4 streams. Anyway, back to what I was trying to show is I've made a level 1 character, so brand new, name is Glane, Earth and Light Wizard, and no special gear whatsoever. I didn't even reroll gear a single time. So that was just standard default gear, and we're going to be going into a abandoned dungeon mine. And this is going to kind of represent the first Dungeon of Despair level that people will encounter. So we will see how this goes. So previously in all the Cultists of Myr stuff, I would say the difficulty of that has been turned up. The puzzles are very difficult, fairly challenging, although the new level builder has made them even more challenging. So previously I would have said the difficulty was turned up to 9 or 10. Now I would say they would have been about a 6 or 7. But what are you going to do? This difficulty would be on the other side of that. It is ratcheted all the way down, although it is trying to build up and get you used to solving DoD puzzles and combat. And the goal of this is to help your character level as well as get you some gear and potions. Grain rode his horse, feeling the weight of his armor and weapons on his body. The road ahead was rugged, and the air was thick with the smell of burning sulfur. He knew that he was getting close to the Dragonspine Mountains, where the mines of Grindosh were located. He had been traveling for days, and he was tired and hungry, but he knew that he had a mission to complete. Quimian Talia had sent him to investigate the recent reports of activity in the mines. He had heard rumors of the dwarves of Grindosh were known for their mastery of golem constructs, and he wondered if their skills had been revived after the eruption of Mount Gladius 500 years ago. Glane was an inexperienced adventurer, but he had been trained in the art of combat and magic by some of the best wizards in the kingdom. As he approached the entrance to the dungeon, he could hear the sounds of rushing water and the creaking of old wooden structures. He dismounted from his horse and unsheathed his magical axe and short sword, and prepared to enter the mines of Grindosh. He took a deep breath and stepped into the darkness. And right off the bat, we have a tin golem we have to dispatch. And one of the things you'll notice is that was a very easy combat. One of the nice things is tin golems are basic warriors. So for those of people have fought in the arena, when you're level 1, all you get is basic warriors. This is kind of mirroring that, where all you get to fight is basic warriors, which are very, very easy and not much of a challenge, but challenge will build. Glane approached the lifeless body of the tin golem, which was now just a pile of scrap metal. He searched through the debris, looking for anything of value. The golem's bronze plating caught his eye, and he began to pry it off with his magical axe. As he worked, he noticed something glinting inside the golem's chest. He reached in and pulled out a small patch filled with 62 bronze coins. Glane grinned, and with satisfaction, he added the coins of a pouch and continued his search. He found nothing more of value on the golem, so he moved on to the rusting iron door on the west wall. He examined the lock and realized it was quite old. This is the AI hallucinating a bit, so we will just go on to the iron door. And the rusting iron door actually looks like a rusting iron door. Glane stared at the rusting iron door on the west wall, his eyes tracing its intricate patterns in veins and leaves. The door was old, older than any of that he had seen before, and it showed. The once intricate patterns were now faded and rusted, as if it had been left to the elements for centuries. Glane wondered What could be behind the door? Perhaps it was a treasure room filled with the riches of the dwarves of Grindosh. Or maybe it was just a tomb filled with the bodies of the fallen dwarves. Glain shuddered at the thought. Whatever was behind the door, it was clear that it had been sealed for a reason. Glain knew that he should not attempt to open it. He turned away from the door, his mind already on the next challenge that laid ahead. Unfortunately, we have to enter the door. And as always, if you guys have questions about the game or where it's going, feel free to ask in chat. Or if you're confused about anything, feel free to ask. Except there are no other dungeons you have access to right now. Glain reached out to touch the rusting iron door on the west wall, but as his hand brushed against it, a cloud of rust fell away and revealed a puzzle engraved in the metal surface. The puzzle consisted of 4 levers, each adorned with a different symbol: a sword, a shield, a crown, and a dragon. A poem was etched into the metal above the levers. Glain read it slowly, trying to understand his meaning. He knew that this was some sort of elaborate puzzle designed to keep intruders out of whatever lay beyond the door. Glain studied the levers for a moment longer, trying to decide which one to pull first. He knew that one wrong move could set off a trap or trigger some sort of deadly spell. Glain took a deep breath and reached out to touch the sword lever, wondering where his path would lead him. Glain approached the east wall of the dungeon and saw 4 levers, each adorned with a different symbol: a sword, a shield, a crown, and a dragon. Above the levers, etched in the stone, was a poem. Brave knight, heed this call. To reach your goal, you must not stall. Pull the sword and shield with glee, then bow to the crown with humility. But beware the dragon's fiery breath. Only pull this lever after the rest. So I will just solve this my own way, because I know the secret algorithm. After dealing with these puzzles so many freaking times, I have figured out a reliable way to solve at least the 4-lever puzzle. OpenAI is still thinking. Glain studied the 4 levers as he abandoned a door that levers each adorned with a different symbol: a sword, a shield, a crown, and a dragon. He read the poem etched in the stone above the levers, committing each line to memory. Glain knew that he had to pull the levers in the correct order to unlock the rusting iron door on the west wall. He stared at the sword. He started with the sword lever, pulling it down with a satisfying click. He then quickly moved to the shield lever, which he pulled down with equal ease. Glain hesitated for a moment before pulling down the crown lever, unsure of what might happen next, but as he did so, he heard a loud grinding noise, and he knew that he was on the right track. Finally, he reached out for the dragon lever, pulling it down slowly and deliberately. There was a brief moment of silence, then Glain heard a loud click from somewhere in the dungeon. He turned and saw that the rusting iron door on the west wall was slowly swinging open. Glain smiled to himself. He had solved the puzzle and locked whatever lay beyond the door. Awesome. Ooh. Lots of fun things. We will examine them in order. This is a forge. Glain walked up to the unlit forge, observing its cold and dark state. He couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness as he looked at the partly assembled tin golem laying lifeless on top of the coals. It was clear that the dwarves of Grindosh had been in the middle of creating this golem when disaster struck, and they were forced to abandon it. Glain wondered if the golems could still be brought back to life, but he knew that he would need to find someone with more knowledge on the subject. For now, he simply gazed at the golem's metal body, wondering what kind of tasks it had been designed to perform. The forge may have been unlit, but Glain could feel the quiet energy in the room, as if it still held secrets waiting to be uncovered. And if you guys want me to actually interact with any of these objects, let me know. For right now, I will examine. because I am scared. Glane stood mesmerized, watching the active forge as the tin golem began self-assembling. The rhythmic clanging of the hammers on metal filled the air as sparks flew in all directions. Glane had heard stories about the legendary golems created by the dwarves of Gringotts, but he had never actually seen one being made before. As the golem took shape, Glane could see the intricate details that went into its construction. Every joint, every plate of armor was carefully crafted and fitted together with precision. The golem's glowing eyes seemed to be following Glane's every movement, as if it knew he was watching. Glane couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and reverence as the ancient dwarf's craftsmanship that had gone into creating such a powerful and fearsome creature. He knew that he would have to be careful if he encountered one of these golems in battle, for their strength and durability were legendary. So that one is assembling a golem, and we have an apothecary table. Glane's eyes were fixated on the apothecary table, his heart racing with anticipation. The table appeared to have been recently used, with the vials and jars scattered haphazardly across its surface. His gaze lingered on the small mortar and pestle, its contents untouched, but for a few stray grains of yellow powder. A series of ancient tomes caught his eye, and the leather-bound covers cracked and worn from centuries of use. Their passages seemed to whisper secrets that only he could hear. The sight of a single crimson-stained rag caused his stomach to churn as he quickly averted his gaze. Despite the apothecary's apparent use, Glane couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. I will go ahead and interact with that one. Anyone want me to interact with either of the forges? Or shall we move on to a different room? Glane approached the apothecary table curiously, his hands resting on the hilt of his magical sword. He scanned the jars and vials, but found nothing of interest. Only a few droplets of amber liquid remained in one of the jars. He picked up the leather-bound book, but quickly discarded it when he realized that the pages were blank. The mortar and pestle were empty, and the crimson-stained rag was just an old piece of cloth. Feeling a pang of disappointment, Glane began to turn away when something caught his eye, a small, intricately carved wooden box that had been wedged between two jars back of the table. He carefully lifted the lid, revealing a few small gems that don't actually exist. North, south, east, west. Let's go north. Ooh. Another tin golem for us to fight. And he died in one shot. We will loot. Good old hallucinated AI gems in that case. Glane approached the remains of the dead tin golem, its metal body cracked lifeless. He examined it carefully, searching for anything valuable it might carry. With swift motion, he searched its chest cavity and pulled out a handful of bronze coins. Not much, but better than nothing. He continued to search, and he spots a glint of silver in the corner of his eyes. Digging deep into the golem's remains, he finds a single silver coin tucked away in a hidden compartment. Yay! A couple more forges. We also have this potion shelf. Hey, Zuko. Glane walked up to the simple wooden potion shelf and studied its contents carefully. He scanned over the different cover vials and jars, neatly arranged on the shelves, some of them glimmering in the dim light of the dungeon, while others looked murky and unpleasant. He reached out and picked up a small, clear vial containing a shimmering golden liquid. He held it up to the light, and he saw tiny specks of glitter floating inside. He unscrewed the top and sniffed cautiously at the liquid inside, detecting a sweet, almost fruity scent. Glane set the vial back down on the shelf and continued examining the other potions. He knew better than to drink any unknown potions without first identifying their effects. But as he gazed at the colorful array of bottles, he couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and curiosity building inside of him. Let's go ahead and interact. Let drink all the potions. Glane rummaged through the different vials on the shelves, hoping to find something useful. As he carefully lifted a dark blue bottle, his eyes caught a glimpse of something red hidden behind it. Intrigued, he reached past the blue vial and pulled out a small, slender bottle with a bright red liquid inside. He recognized it immediately as a rare red health potion. A valuable item that could heal even the most serious of injuries. Glane had heard rumors of some of these potions had been made by the Grindosh dwarves themselves. He uncorked the bottle and took a small sip, feeling a warm, soothing liquid flow down his throat. The potion tasted sweet and spicy at the same time, and he could feel its healing magic already taking effect. Pleased with his find, Glane carefully placed the red health potion into his backpack before turning his attention back to the rest of the dungeon. Alright, so we got a potion, and I will immediately equip it because that might come in handy. One of the goals of the onboarding dungeon is to obviously give players potions so they can do all sorts of fun things. Ooh, and we also have a new type of door that has not been shown before. It's a portcullis. And we've got other things in this room too. Glane's gaze was fixated on the imposing heavy steel portcullis, which barred his way further into the depths of the mine. He could see the intricate dwarven craftsmanship etched into the metal bars, each one as thick as his arm. The lock on the door was a complex mechanism, as its intricate design betraying the skill of the dwarves engineers who had created it so long ago. For a moment, Glane considered trying to pick the lock, but he quickly dismissed the idea. He knew that any attempt to bypass the lock would be met by heavy resistance, and he did not want to alert any potential enemies to his presence. Instead, he took a step backward and surveyed his surroundings, trying to find another way through the dungeon. We have an angel statue, a lever, and another potion shelf. We will see if we get another potion. Glane approached the simple wooden potion shelf, excited to see what treasure he might find. His glove reached out to the small vials, examining each one carefully. He noticed a small cobalt blue bottle on the back corner of the shelf. It labels reads Rare Blue Mana Potion. Glane's eyes widened in excitement as he quickly snatched the potion up and examined it. He had heard of this rare elixir before, a potent concoction that could boost his magical abilities for a short time. He carefully stowed the potion away in his pack, already planning when he might need to use it. Satisfied with his find, Glane stepped back from the shelf and takes a deep breath. The dungeon may be dangerous, but he was confident he could handle anything that came his way, especially with powerful items like this at his disposal. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the lever, because why not? And hey, Daft Punk, I don't think I've seen you here before. Welcome. Glane looked around the room, assessing his options. He noted that the large oak lever and approached it cautiously. With a deep breath, he grasped the lever and pulled. To his surprise, the lever pulled easily, and the clanking of metal echoed through the room as the portcullis slowly raised. Glane watched in awe as the gate lifted, revealing a dimly lit hallway beyond. A sense of excitement and apprehension washed over him as he stepped forward, his magical axe and short sword at the ready. He couldn't shake the feeling that something dangerous awaited him in the depths of the abandoned mines. But he had a mission to complete, and he wasn't about to let fear hold him back. With a determined look on his face, Glane stepped through the archway and into the unknown. Sweet. Open the portcullis. Which is awesome. Glenn couldn't take his eyes off the active forge, the bright orange flame dancing within, casting flickering shadows on the wall. The sound of metal clanging against metal filled the room as a tin golem slowly assembled itself inside the forge. Glenn watched in awe as the pieces came together, each one falling into place with precision and purpose. The golem's body was almost complete, with only a few pieces left to be added. Glenn wondered who could have possibly reactivated the forge after all these years, and who could be constructing the golem inside. Could it be survivors of Grindosh, or is it something else entirely? Questions swirled in his mind as he continued to watch the forge at work. Interesting. So that's two minds that are two forges that are assembling tin golems on their own. What magic is this? I don't know. At least as the player, I don't know. Glenn's eyes were fixated on the small angelic statue, marveling at its intricate details and exquisite craftsmanship. The statue depicted a winged figure with delicate features, holding a sword in one hand and a shield in the other. The aura of purity emanating from the statue was palpable, making Glenn feel a sense of calm amidst the chaos of the dungeon. As he continued to gaze at the statue, he noticed a peculiar marking etched into his base. It was a symbol that he had seen before, but he couldn't quite place where. Suddenly he heard a faint whisper in his ear, so soft it could have been his imagination. "Find the sister," it seemed to say. Glenn shook his head, wondering if he was losing his mind. He took a step back from the statue, but couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. He knew that he had to keep this statue in mind as he explored further into the depths of the mines. So I'm going to make a note of that. There's an angel statue. And there are forges everywhere. And we've got another tin golem. Goodbye, Mr. Tin Golem. All right. I'm going to skip looting just because it takes time. And I also know it's coming, but that's another story. Glenn approached with the simple wooden potions. The wooden potion shelf, and examining it carefully, he noticed that it was well built and sturdy despite its simplicity. As he scanned the contents of the shelves, his eyes fell upon a small blue vial with an intricate design etched into its surface. He reached out and took the vial, uncorked it, and inhaled deeply. The scent of magic filled his nostrils, and he knew immediately that this was a rare blue mana potion, a powerful concoction that could boost his magical abilities significantly. He carefully stowed the vial away in his pack, feeling a sense of satisfaction at having found such a valuable item. With renewed determination, he turned his attention to the rest of the room. Awesome. I also have an apothecary table. We will see what's here. And just so everyone's aware, Zuko did help me with some of the art for this level. Glenn cautiously approached the apothecary table, scanning its surroundings for any signs of danger. He reached out and carefully lifted a lid from a tiny wooden chest sitting on top of the table. Inside, he found a single vial of shimmering blue liquid. Examining it closely, he recognized it as a rare blue mana potion, a valuable elixir known to boost its magical abilities. Without hesitation, Glenn uncorked the vial and downed its contents in one swift gulp. This guy is probably a dwarf just drinking random liquids all the time. The potion's cool, refreshing taste washed over him, and he felt a sudden surge of power coursing through his veins. His magical abilities were now amplified, and he felt more confident in his ability to face whatever dangers lay ahead. Awesome. Enter. More dwarves, more mines. Or more forges, I should say. Which one deals more? 121 or 128? We will take the 128. Goodbye, Tin Golem. Another apothecary table. I'm being very generous with the potions, obviously. And there's a shelf on the wall, too. Glenn approached the apothecary table, which was cluttered with various vials and potions. He scanned the labels, looking for anything that might be useful on his journey. After a few moments, he spotted a small cobalt blue potion behind a row of larger potions. Cautiously, he picked it up and read the label. It was a rare blue mana potion, something he had only heard of in legends. Excitement bubbled up inside him as he carefully uncorked the bottle and took a cautious sip. The potion was sweet and refreshing. Yes, we know this. And more potions. I'm gonna be rolling in dough. Ooh. We just got a mystic potion. Glenn approached the simple wooden shelf. Curious as to what it helped, he rummaged through the shelves, carefully pushing aside various bottles and vials until he came across a small ruby red bottle. Examining it closely, he could sense the mystical energy emanating from it. He carefully took out the bottle and read the label, which stated that it was a mystical red healing potion. Feeling pleased with his discovery, Glenn quickly stored the potion away in his pack, confident that it would come in handy later on. So yeah, very generous with the potions. And we've got 2 more forges here. Alright, we hit a dead end. And we will go back. Oh, wait, we've been in this room before. And now there's a tin golem. What is going on? Yeah, we've been in that room. But there's another tin golem there. What's going on? Ooh, something interesting there. The forges are replicating golems. They are making golems. Alright, what do we have here? Do people want me to continue to poke the apothecary tables and potion shelves? Glenn couldn't help but be mesmerized by the shimmery rock formation in front of him. As the light from his torch danced over the surface of the rock, he noticed something peculiar. There appeared to be several gemstones glowing within the rock. The stones glimmered and shone with a brightness that seemed out of place in this abandoned mine. Glenn couldn't help but feel that there was something significant about these stones, like they were part of a larger puzzle that he had not yet uncovered. He made a mental note to keep an eye out for anything else that might be related to these mysterious glowing gems. Alright, I'm going to make note of that. There is a mining node. Gems. Everyone's like, keep poking the apothecary tables. Okay, I will. Just means more reading for me. Which is fine. Glenn cautiously approached the first apothecary table, peering into the various vials and jars. His fingers danced across the array of colorful glass bottles, examining each label with care. After a few moments of searching, he set his sights on a rare health potion. The liquid inside shimmered in the dim light, casting a warm glow across the table. Glenn's heart quickened with excitement as he snatched up the bottle, carefully tucking it into his pack. He turned his attention to the second apothecary table, his eyes scanning the collection of herbs and powders. However, nothing else caught his eye. Well, how about I actually go search that one? I don't know if there's got to be a legendary one, but there might be. I already did find a mystic. Another mystic. Glenn approached one of the apothecary tables with caution, scanning for any potential traps. Finding none, he began to rummage through the various jars and vials and bottles scattered about the surface. A small glass bottle with a cobalt blue liquid caught his eye. He picked it up and examined its contents, recognizing it as a mythical blue mana potion. Excitement coursed through him as he realized how valuable this find could be. Carefully, he uncorked the bottle and placed he corked the bottle and placed it into his satchel before continuing a search of the apothecary table. He found a few other potions of lesser interest before moving on to the second table. The potential for even more greater discoveries kept him focused as he continued on. All right, we will go north. Ooh, locked door. And another tin golem for us to deal with. All right, what is this door? Glane stood in front of the locked circular stone door, gazing intently at the intricate carvings on either side. The left section depicted a radiant sun surrounded by swirling beams of light that seemed to emanate from its core. The right section, in contrast, showed a mountain range with craggy peaks and towering cliffs, beneath which he ran a network of underground tunnels. Glane felt a sense of familiarity as he studied the carvings. The depiction of light on the left side reminded him of his own magical abilities, while the image of earth on the right seemed to call to him in some deeper way. He wondered what secrets lay beyond the door, and he wondered why it had been sealed for so long. But despite his curiosity, Glane knew better than to try to pick the lock. He would have to find another way to breach the door, or risk unleashing whatever lay hidden within. So light and earth. But we found an angel and a mining node. Let's keep exploring. Oh, another apothecary table. We'll go see if there's another powerful potion in there. Oh, just a red mana potion, or a red health potion. But speaking of, I probably should equip some of these. Just in case I need them. Ooh, our next door. And more potions. I'm surprised I have not found a bookshelf yet. Or many locked doors, for that matter. Apothecary family found a small vial of liquid, another healing potion. And I'm gonna guess this is gonna give me another potion. Just a guess. Ooh, another mystic potion. This dungeon is being very kind to me. What does this one hold? Another locked door. Glane stood before the locked circular stone door, gazing into its intricately detailed carvings. The door was separated into two parts. On the left section, depicting the element of earth, and on the right, fire. The carvings were so lifelike that Glane felt as though he could reach out and touch the rough textures of the earth section, while the fire section seemed to flicker and dance with an inner flame. As he continued to study the carvings, Glane couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to this door than met the eye. It was as though it held some sort of hidden power or secret knowledge, but Glane knew better than to attempt to unlock or pick it. There was no telling what dangers lay beyond this mysterious portal. With a deep breath, Glane tore his gaze from the door and turned his attention back to the other items in the room, reminding himself of his mission to investigate the reports of activity and uncover any potential threats to Queen Mentalia's kingdom. So we have an earth door, apparently, and a light earth door. That's going to make solving these puzzles fun. We've been to all these places. We need to go south. We've been here before. Found a bunch of potions. Not been here before. Come on, Mr. Golem. Go bye-bye. So I can loot the apothecary table. So what do people think of the abandoned Dwarven mine so far? Other than, it seems very easy. Potions are being handed out left and right. Another rare blue potion. Been that way. Let's go this way. Absolutely nothing in that room. Oh, weren't we just here? Where did you come from, Mr. Tin Golem? This was the entrance. We've definitely been here before. Oh. More potions. That's for sure. Unfortunately, Sneaker, we haven't found any books yet. Nothing. Nothing on that potion. And that is it. What? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Again, nothing on that potion. We have another rock formation to look at. Glenn approached the simmering rock formation, fascinated by its beauty. As he drew closer, he noticed something particular about the stones. It was as though they were alive, pulsating with an inner light that seemed to call out to him. He couldn't resist reaching out to touch one of the gems. As his finger brushed against the stone, a surge of energy coursed through him. Glenn felt a strange sensation in his mind, as though he unlocked a puzzle that had been long been hidden away. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but he knew that this was only the first step in a greater journey. Well, if it's the first step, maybe I should interact with it. Glenn hammered away at the rock formation with his pick, determined to find out what secrets lay within. As he struck a particularly large stone, he heard a cry of pain emanating from the formation. Startled, he paused his work and looked closer. To his surprise, he saw that a glowing gemstone had been dislodged from the rock and had jumped onto a nearby stone door. It was as if the stone was alive and it was trying to protect its precious treasure. Glenn couldn't help but feel a tinge of guilt for causing harm to the rock, but he knew that he needed to press on if he was to unravel the mysteries of the dungeon. He cautiously approached the stone door, wondering what lay beyond. So I'm guessing that's a good thing. And here we had a rock formation. Also gems. And I'm going to go touch the angel statue, because that's probably light. More golems. Why are they self-replicating? There's the angel statue. Glenn couldn't resist the urge to touch the small angelic statue. As his hand made contact with the smooth surface of the statue, a radiant light began to emanate from it, bathing the entire room in a warm glow. Glenn was momentarily blinded by the intensity of the light, but soon realized that it wasn't hurting his eyes. The light seemed to be cleansing the room of any lingering darkness or malevolent energy. Glenn felt a wave of peace wash over him, as if all the worries and fears were being lifted away. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, fully embracing the moment of serenity. As the light began to fade, the statue returned to its previous state. However, Glenn could feel a newfound power coursing through his veins. He knew that whatever lay ahead in this dungeon, he would face it with greater strength and courage than before. Right, and that's the mining node. Let's go poke that one, because that should hopefully unlock one of the two doors. I just don't know which one. Because one was light earth and one was earth. Glenn gripped his pick tightly in his hand and began hammering away at the interesting rock formation. The sound of metal on stone echoed through the room as he struck the rock with all of his might, trying to knock it loose. Suddenly there was a loud cry that rang out from the stone as a glowing gemstone jumped from it and darted toward the nearby stone door. Glenn watched in amazement as the gemstone seemed to unlock the door with a bright flash of light and a loud click. Slowly the door began to roll open, revealing what lay beyond. Glenn couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and anticipation as he peered into the darkness. A dark, unknown space beyond the unlocked door. He knew that whatever lay ahead would be a challenge, but he was determined to push forward and complete his mission for Queen Talia. Alright, so we have two locked doors. One of them should be open. And this one is indeed. Interesting. We have a well. And another golem. And now I'm starting to wonder if I missed something. Glenn slowly approached the well with his eyes fixed on the gleaming surface of the water. It was crystal clear, inviting. The trickling sound of water calling out to him. As he reached the edge of the well, he couldn't help but admire the finely crafted stonework. The edges were smooth and polished, and the walls were lined with intricate carvings depicted scenes of dwarven life. As he reached his hand out to touch the cool water, feeling its refreshing chill, it was a welcoming relief from the heat and the sweat of his travels. Glenn took a deep breath in, savoring the sweet scent of the water, and peered down at the depths of the well, marveling at how deep it went. It was a small moment of peace amidst the chaos of his journey, and he took all the time he needed to relish it before pulling away and continuing his mission. All right. We have a chest to examine. Glenn approached the gilded metal chest with a sense of caution. It sits in the middle of the room, almost as if it's waiting for him. He examines the ornate designs etched into the metal, tracing his fingers over the intricate pattern. The chest seems innocent enough, but Glenn knows better than to let his guard down. He takes a step back and surveys the room once more before turning his gaze to the chest. He can't shake the feeling that something isn't right. His instincts are telling him to be careful and proceed with caution. Finally, after several moments of staring at the chest, Glenn makes his decision. He reaches out and slowly lifts the lid, bracing himself for whatever might be inside. Well, I guess he wants to open this, so I won't even ask the channel. Or ask chat. Since Glenn made his decision. It's probably going to blow up on me. No. As Glenn lifts the lid of the gilded metal chest, his heart races with anticipation. Inside, he finds a treasure trove that makes his eyes widen with excitement. On top of the pile, two rare items, a plate chess piece and a great sword. The plate chess piece is expertly crafted with intricate designs etched into the metal. Glenn can already feel the weight of it as he pictures himself wearing it in battle. He carefully picks it up and examines it from every angle, admiring its beauty. Next to the chest piece lies a great sword, its blades glinting in the dim light of the dungeon. It's a weapon fit for a hero, with a sharp edge and a sturdy hilt. Glane can't wait to test it out on his enemies. Grinning from ear to ear, Glane carefully places the two rare items in his pack, ready to take them with him on his journey. He can't believe his luck in finding such powerful artifacts, as he feels more confident than ever in his abilities as an adventurer. Glane is making heyday here. So I'm going to go ahead and interact with this supposedly friendly well and see what happens. Glane grasped at the rope tightly, his muscles tensing as he began to pull it up from the depths of the well. Slowly but surely he made progress, the bucket at the end of the rope gradually rising out of the water. As he pulled, he noticed unusual dwarven ruins etched into the side of the bucket, glowing with a faint magical energy. The water shimmered and sparkled as it rose up with the bucket, its magical properties becoming more apparent with each passing moment. It was said that such water could douse even the hottest forges, cooling them instantly and rendering them useless. Glane couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the power contained within the bucket. With a final heave, Glane pulled the bucket up to the surface and set it down carefully beside him. He gazed down at the water, mesmerized by its beauty and magical energy. Perhaps it would prove useful in his quest after all. And if we look at our inventory, we now have a bucket of water, a magical bucket of water. No matter what you do, it always seems to refill. And we actually have something here to test that on. So we have a new option to douse the forge. Should I douse the forge? I will ask Chad. There you go. There's a chat. There's a poll. So everyone is saying douse. So mine as well. Glane approached the active forge with caution, his eyes narrowing as he saw the flames licking at the hot coals within. He knew that this could mean trouble. Carefully, he raised his magical bucket and focused his earth magic into it. With a flick of his wrist, he sent the water flying towards the forge, dousing the flames and leaving the coals smoldering. He sighed in relief, knowing that the forge would no longer be a danger to him. As he turned to leave, Glane couldn't help but wonder what kind of activity was happening within the mines that required such a dangerous forge. He knew that he would have to stay alert and be prepared for anything that might come his way. Alright, we will move on. Another tin golem. It's almost like the game wants me to level up for some reason. And we will douse this forge too. And now I'm wondering if I missed something. Have I fully explored the dungeon? Glane approached the active forge with caution, his hands gripping the magical bucket tightly. He knew that the flames could be dangerous, and he didn't want to risk getting burned. With a deep breath, he stepped closer and poured the contents of the bucket onto the flames, the fire hissing and crackling and cracked as it was extinguished, leaving behind only a smoldering pile of ash. Glane stood back, watching as the smoke cleared as the room grew quiet once more. He knew that dousing the forge was just the first step in his mission to investigate the mines of Grindosh, but he felt a sense of accomplishment knowing that he had made the area safe for himself and any others who might come after him. With renewed determination, Glane turned towards the next challenge that awaited him in the abandoned mines. Have I been everywhere? I have indeed been everywhere. Ah! Where do these tin golems keep coming from? I will just continue to douse flames. whatever the other earth is. This should unlock the other door, since it was earth. Glane focused his attention on the interesting rock formation, determined to find any clues that could explain the sudden activity of the abandoned mine. He gripped his pick and struck one of the rocks with a heavy blow. Suddenly, the rock cried out in pain, and a glowing gemstone jumped out of it, landing on a nearby stone door. The stone door started to glow and shake, as if unlocking itself. Glane felt a chill run down his spine. He had never encountered anything like this before. He hesitated for a moment, contemplating whether or not to enter the unlocked door, but his sense of duty prevailed, and he cautiously walked towards the door as it slowly rolled open with a loud click. As he peered inside, he saw a dimly lit passage leading further into the depths of the dungeon. His heart racing, Glane took a deep breath and stepped inside, ready to face whatever lay ahead. I will douse this forge. I'm gonna douse all the forges. And a little sad that we didn't get a single bookcase so far. And another tin golem. And I am 2-0 already. Ooh. I have a new ability. Deals damage to everything in melee. Yeah, it was very, very heavy on the potions. And there's another forge to douse. Glane approached the active forge with caution, noticing that it was emitting a bright orange glow. As he drew closer, he felt an intense heat emanating from the flames. He knew that he had to extinguish the fire to prevent any further activities in the mine. With a steady hand, he reached out into his backpack and brought out a magical bucket filled with water. He focused on the bucket and whispered an incantation under his breath. Suddenly, the water inside the bucket began to glow with a blue aura. Glane then slowly poured the enchanted water onto the flames, which immediately began to sizzle and die down. The heat dissipated, and the once bright orange glow of the forge was replaced by a dull red. Satisfied with his work, Glane replaced the magical bucket back into his backpack and turned to leave the forge room. He knew that he had done what he could to prevent any further activities in the mines. And we have this room that we haven't been into, and we've got a dwarf we have to talk to. My apologies, Glane. I am Gildara Stoneforge, a dwarf artificer from the Marns of Oldash. What business do ye have in these ruins? I'm investigating reports of activities in these mines. And I've found a number of the forges to be lit, but have found an enchanted bucket to douse them. Aye, these mines are ancient and full of surprises, but I'm afraid I haven't come across any enchanted buckets in my explorations yet. Perhaps you can show it to me? And that's it for that conversation. That was a very short conversation. I was not expecting that. But that's okay. Glane's gaze fixated on the gilded metal chest out in front of him, intricately designed into the gold plating glimmered in the dim light. It looked like any other chest he had encountered in adventures, but he had learned to never underestimate the seemingly mundane. He examined the lock carefully, searching for any signs of tampering or traps. The chest seemed untouched and safe, but Glane learned to trust his instinct. He closed his eyes and focused on his senses on the chest, trying to detect any magical ores or hidden enchantments. After a few moments of concentration, he opened his eye and let out a sigh of relief. The chest seemed to be just a chest after all, but Glane knew better than to let his guard down. All right, just a chest. Let's see him to open it. It was behind a locked door, Sneaker. Ooh. With caution, Glane approached the gilded metal chest and inserted the key into the lock. The chest creaked open, revealing its contents, a pair of rare items. He pulled out a rare plated helm, admiring its intricate design and the strength it promised to provide. As he lifted the helm, he noticed a subtle glow emanating from the warhammer resting at the bottom of the chest. He reached out for it and felt a sudden surge of power coursing through his veins as he grasped the handle. The rare warhammer glimmered with magical energy that promised to pack a devastating punch in battle. Glane couldn't believe his luck. These were incredibly valuable and powerful items that could undoubtedly aid him in his quest to investigate the mines. He quickly stowed them away in his backpack and took a deep breath, ready to continue his journey deeper into the dungeon. And I'm just going to go ahead and open the other one, which was probably a mistake. Nope. Glane cautiously approached the gilded metal chest, scanning the room for any possible traps. He placed his hands on the lid and slowly lifted it open. Inside, he finds a pair of rare pants. The metallic armor glimmers in the dim light of the dungeon. Glane carefully picks them up and examines their craftsmanship, satisfied they were not cursed or booby-trapped. He dons them over his current set of armor. The new pants fit perfectly and provide an additional layer of protection for his legs. Glane closes the chest and takes a deep breath, feeling more confident in his abilities to face whatever lays ahead. All right. And I have gone many a ways dousing forges. We will continue that process. All right, let's go down. And there's one to douse. Dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Glane approached the active orge, its intense heats making his armors feel like it was melting onto his skin. Glancing around, he saw buckets of water nearby and realized he needed to douse the flames before they caused any more harm. He grabbed a nearby magical bucket and filled it with water from the apothecary table. With a wave of his hand, he cast a spell to intensify the water's power. As he carefully approached the forge, he could feel the heat radiating off it. Focusing his mind, he poured the magical water over the flames, extinguishing them completely. As the steam rose from the cooling metal, Glane let out a sigh of relief. He knew that there was still much to be done in these abandoned mines, but at least he had prevented any further damage to the forge. Alright, none here. So that area is all clear. There's one. This is the entrance. The heat from the active forge was almost unbearable, but Glane knew that he had to act fast to stop the tin golem from fully assembling. He quickly pulled out the magical bucket and filled it with water from a nearby trough. As he approached the forge, he could feel the intense heat radiating off it, but he steeled his resolve and plunged the bucket into the flames. The water hissed and the steam as it hit the hot metal, but Glane continued to douse the forge, determined to stop the golem from being completed. The flames began to die down, and the hissing of the steam grew less intense as the temperature dropped. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last embers were extinguished, and Glane let out a sigh of relief. He knew that he had prevented a dangerous golem from being created, and that he felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. However, he also knew that there was likely more dangers lurking within the mines of Grindosh, as he steeled himself for whatever lay ahead. Right, I don't think I've been up here, and I have not, and there's another golem for me to take down. Ooh, they've gotten tougher. They have gotten much tougher. I'm also in level 1 gear. Maybe I should equip some of my level 2 stuff. As Glenn approached the active forge, he could feel the heat emanating from it. He knew that this was where the golems were being constructed. He took a moment to collect himself before reaching for his magical bucket, which he had infused with the element of earth to make it more effective. With a steady hand, Glenn aimed the bucket towards the forge and let the water flow out. As soon as the water touched the flames, they sizzled and hissed before slowly dying down. The room grew noticeably cooler as the heat dissipated. Glenn couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. Dousing the forge was a small victory in his mission to stop whatever was happening here. He replaced the magical bucket at his sides and continued on, determined to uncover the truth behind the activity in the mines of Greendosh. And we will douse this one. How many more of these are there? I think we're almost done. Glenn approached the active forge with caution, wary of any traps or surprises. As he got closer, he could feel the intense heat emanating from the flames. Taking a deep breath, he summoned his powers as an earth wizard and a light wielder, and focused them onto his magical bucket. With a swift motion, Glenn threw the contents of the bucket onto the flames, dousing them in a burst of steam and smoke. The heat dissipated quickly, leaving only a smoldering pile of ash where the forge once stood. Satisfied that he had neutralized the threat, Glenn took a moment to catch his breath and surveyed the room. He knew that there was still much to explore and uncover in these abandoned mines, but for now he was content knowing that he had made them a little safer for any further adventurers who might follow in his footsteps. Right, have I been that way? I don't remember. Apparently not. We will douse this one. You'll actually notice that if you examine first before dousing, the douse description is actually a little bit better. Glenn watched in horror as the tin golem was almost fully assembled inside the active forge. He knew that he had to act fast before it was too late. Without a second thought, he reached for his magical bucket and filled it with water from a nearby barrel. In one swift motion, he climbed up the steps towards the forge and poured the contents of the bucket onto the flames, dousing them instantly. The room fell silent as the flames died down, and Glenn breathed a sigh of relief. He could hear the sounds of metal cooling and the contracting within the forge as he cautiously approached. With trembling hands, he pushed aside the remaining embers to reveal the tin golem, now frozen in place and incomplete. Glenn couldn't help but wonder what was behind the construction of the golem and what their intentions were. He knew that he had to tread carefully from here on if he wanted to uncover the truth behind the activity in the mines of Greendosh. And here's another one to douse. As Glenn approached the active forge, the heat emanating from it the room was nearly suffocating. Sweat dripped down his forehead as he observed the bright orange flames dancing around the furnace. Without hesitation, Glenn retrieved his magical bucket from his backpack and raised it above his head. A soft orange glow emanated from the bucket as he poured its contents over the flame. The fire hissed and spurted as it was drowned out, and the room quickly cooled down. Glenn breathed a sigh of relief as he wiped sweat from his brow. He knew that he had to investigate further and uncover the reasons for the activities in the mine of Greendosh. But he knew now extinguishing the forge was a small victory. And two more in here. Oof. I very much need to equip a better weapon. Although they're not really hurting me. Though I'm not really hurting them much either anymore. Okay. You guys are probably all very, very bored with me just running around dousing forges. Glane cautiously approached the first active forge, the orange glow of the flames casting an eerie light on the surrounding stone walls. He knew that the dwarves of Greenjosh were still skilled in the art of golem construction, and he couldn't risk any of their creations coming to life and attacking him. With a flick of his wrist, he summoned a magical bucket filled with water. The bucket glowed faintly with a soft green light as he approached the forge. He carefully poured the water onto the flames, extinguishing them with a hiss and a cloud of steam. Glane repeated the process on the second forge, ensuring that both of them were thoroughly doused. Satisfied that they were no longer a threat, Glane moved on to explore the rest of the abandoned mines. No braziers in this dungeon, just forges. Glane stepped closer to the active forge, the heat emanating from it almost unbearable, sweat dripping down from his forehead as he raised his magical bucket. With a flick of his wrist, Glane summoned a jet of water from the bucket, dousing the flames, sending steam billowed up, obscuring his vision for a few seconds as the steam cleared. Glane inspected the forge more closely. It was old and rusted, but still in decent shape. He wondered what it could have been used for recently. Glane's gut churned as he realized that whatever had been using the forge was likely connected to the recent activities in the mine. He steeled himself for whatever lay ahead and turned to leave the room with his magical axe. Alright, there's a few more rooms that I haven't done. They're at the entrance and below. More golems to face. Dun, 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 dun. I should remember to equip my weapons. That's okay. I lived. Who needs a potion? Glane approached the active forge, feeling the heat radiating from it. He raised his hands, and with a flick of wrist, water shoots out from his magical bucket to douse the flames. The hissing sound of the steam fills the room, and the heat dissipates. Glane takes a deep breath, satisfied that he is able to prevent any further danger. He surveys the room once more, ensuring that there is no hidden threats lurking in the shadows. With his guard up, he moved towards the next unlocked archway, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And this is the last room. I should probably pot. Don't want to die now. That'd be bad. Alright. Douse. Glane approached the active forge with caution, knowing that it could be a trap or a source of danger. He takes out his magical bucket and concentrates his powers on it. With a flick of his hands, he sends a powerful wave of water towards the flames, extinguishing them instantly. The forge hisses and sputters as the water hits it, and a distant splashing sound can be heard in response. Moments later, a small puddle of water begins to spread across the floor, and Glane realizes that he must have hit a nearby well or stream. Carefully navigating around the growing pool, he inspects the forge for any signs of tampering or recent use. Satisfied that it's safe, he continues his search for clues about the recent activities in the abandoned mines of Greengosh. But I'm gonna guess there's something with the well. And that's the wells there. Right. Oh, no more well. The well has been replaced. Zuko is apparently sad that the well has been replaced. Glenn's heart was pounding with excitement and fear as he entered the dark chamber. The walls were lined with torches that flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows on the ground. He could feel the weight of his plate armor as he cautiously approached the enigmatic well that had enchanted water. But something was different this time. The enchantment had vanished, revealing a passageway that led deep into the mine. Glenn's curiosity stirred as he drew his magical axe and short sword ready for the dangers that may lay ahead. He advanced into the inky blackness of the passageway. His senses alert for any sound or movement. The sound of his footsteps echoed through the tunnels, making him feel vulnerable. As he traveled further into mine, Glenn could feel the temperature dropping. The walls around him seemed to be closing in on him, and he could hear a faint howl in the distance. His magical earth wizard powers allowed him to sense that he was not alone. Beads of sweat began to form on his forehead as he realized that he might have stumbled upon something far more significant than he had anticipated. And that is the dungeon. There should be a continue down option, but that has not been coded yet. But we completed the dungeon in record time. So that was just a nice intro dungeon, essentially. So that's to get people used to the puzzles of the DoD and experiencing everything. Probably a few too many forges that have to be doused, but the goal there is kind of to make them have to wander around and kill the easy tin golems to level up. Yeah, you can make that dungeon any size you want. We could go for an extra large one if we really wanted to. If you notice, this is the only dungeon that I have access to right now. But let's see if we can't find a book by going back in. Although that's obviously everything I have to show for the demo today, so the rest of this will be me speedrunning for books and answering questions. So if anyone has any questions, great time to ask. That's going to be a whole lot of forges. And I keep saying I should remember to equip my weapons. So let me go ahead and do that. That's a level 1. That's a level 2. Equip. I think that's a level 1 too, so that's still going to be better. Alright. That'll help me a little bit at least. Alright. Here we are again in the same dungeon. I'm mostly just looking for books to satisfy Sneaker here and wanting to learn more about the golems and their lore. Or also to give people time to answer questions, because we have over 40 minutes to fill. Oh, not that one. I know you'll collect them all, but I also kind of want to see why I didn't get any. Like, was it a fluke? That it just wanted to give us more potions? I don't know. But yeah, so for the people that are new or wondering, the goal right now is to expand the capabilities of the level building system to the point where it's capable of telling any story that needs to be told. And this is not just random procedural generation. This is actual language model AI. So it's currently has, I think, a vocabulary about of 140 words, and it's actually doing pretty well in random storytelling. There we go. That didn't take very long at all. We have a book. So I'm working on both breaking the tokens that go into the dungeon language into smaller and smaller pieces right now, as well as expanding the vocabulary of the number of tokens that it's capable of working with. It is starting to create some mind-bending puzzles that aren't necessarily difficult to solve, but they aren't puzzles or sequences of events that I've explicitly created. Glenn walked over to the simple wooden bookshelf and scanned the titles of the book. Most of them were old and dusty and seemed to be on various topics, but one book caught her attention. It was titled Golem Construction Manual, Chapter 7, The Stone Golem. Glenn pulled it off the shelf and blew the dust off the cover. She opened it and began to read through the pages. In this chapter, Master Almadesh, the master craftsman of Greendosh, delves into the design characteristics and capabilities of the stone golem. Glenn read aloud to herself. She became intrigued by the intricate details of the golem construction and its innate earth magic abilities. As an earth wizard herself, Glenn was especially interested in learning more about the specialized tireless miner that boasted optimal mining productivity and collaborated with its dwarven masters. She decided to bring the book with her as she continued to investigate the mines of Greendosh. And there is our book, and here is the contents. I will let people pause. I will not read it, but I will give people plenty of time to pause the video and read it should they so choose. And there are 10 chapters, Sneaker. Lots of books to collect. Lots of books to collect. Ooh, we've got a gravestone in the... Lots of juicy lore in the game. Lots of juicy lore. Let's see if I can find any other books. 2 gravestones. And an angel. And a vent. If you are looking for Steam, let's see what happens. There you go. There's some Steam for you. Just not when dousing the mines or the forges. Though I could add that, obviously. Lots more potions. Shadowhound. Collecting Shadowhound tails even in here. More apothecary tables. More portcullises to open. Do I need to go back to the Steam vent? I'm just looking for books. And there's another set. Interact. as far as getting people or all alpha testers access to the DoD, probably a couple weeks away from that still. I need to finish the additional 2 levels for the mines. I need to make it so people can generate their own AI generated avatars, so not everyone's looking at Xanthia. Probably need to integrate with a payment processor so people can buy more VQ coins. And that's probably the minimum things required before I can open up to alpha testers. If you are not an alpha tester already, join Discord, link in the description below, down there. And just ping me in direct message, Valados, and I will happily give you an alpha key. Which book? Nope, chapter 7 again. Now I have 2 chapter 7s. Good times. Good times. Technically we will see. There's the Steam again. If you can still watch that all day. I have not paid out patron coins for May yet. I will be doing that this weekend as I try to actually automate that process, so I don't have to manually do that anymore. And then you will get your coins all the time. But everything's caught up through this, up till before this month. Again, patron link is in the description below too if you want to support the development of the game. Which will also get you VQ coins and give you access to private streams every other Wednesday. Nope, nothing else. Any more doors? Yep, there's a few more that I haven't gone to. And a little surprised we haven't met some of the other dwarves that are here. But we meet Shadowhounds. Shadowhounds like us. Let's see if we get another bookshelf or not. Nope. No additional bookshelf. And that's everything except for the doors. And I'm not going to unlock those doors. Alright. Sneaky little 10 golems. They are everywhere now. For people that are wondering if I actually wait in this room long enough, if you're next to one of the forges when the golem spawns, it will actually give you a description of it. Glane stood silently in the shadows, watching as the flames danced within the active forge. The rhythmic clang of metal echoed through the chamber as a lone blacksmith worked tirelessly at the forge, sweat dripped down his face as he hammered at the glowing piece of metal, his muscles straining with each strike. As time passed, Glane began to feel a sense of unease. The forge seemed to be growing hotter, the flames rising higher and higher. Suddenly, with a deafening roar, Tin Golem emerged from the furnace, its eyes glowing a deep red as it surveyed its surroundings, its movements slow and deliberate. Glane's heart raced as she watched the golem take its first steps, the metal feet ringing against the stone floor. She knew that she had to act quickly if she was to survive this encounter. With a deep breath, she readied her magical weapon and prepared to face the creatures head on. Yep, so right now the dungeons are set up to be where if you're at level 1, your enemies are at essentially 10% strength. At level 2, your enemies are at 20% strength. Level 3, 30% strength, so on and so forth until you get to level 11, at which point they are at full strength. So the game kind of eases you in to playing. So the other struggle that I'm having right now is that most of my gear is level 1. So I have a level 2 helm, level 1 chest, level 1 hands, level 2 legs, level 1 boots, and level 2 weapon. So I'm not fully geared out, and I'm actually almost to level 3. So at some point I probably should hit the shops. But yeah, the game tries to ease you into it. The other thing that Zuko also pointed out to me is that when you used to create a character, your to perform and to save were not set for an optimal experience. Prior to me updating it, this would have been about 75-40 instead of the 95-20. So new players would be having their abilities fail 1 out of every 4 times, which is not a good experience. So I updated the auto create algorithm to put most of the points in to perform and not to save. Although the other reason why I might be struggling is I haven't assigned my points, because there's 15% more damage right there. So for people that are playing, remember to assign your points as you level up. I could try to do some other fun things while we're here, although I wasn't paying enough attention. Nope. Darn it. Did that in the right order. But I can also just keep trying to do the dungeon and see what happens. Abandon dungeon. And start a new one. See what more fun things we can come up with. So far we've gotten away pretty easily. Nothing too terrible has happened, but the game can do a few tricky things on even the intro level. Maybe I can get some of those to happen, just to show. But also here to answer questions that people might have about the game and what the long-term or even the short-term goals are, if people are curious. Although I think Zuko and Sneaker have had all their questions answered by now. They seem to come to every stream, which I very much appreciate. Also, if you guys are watching, don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not already. It definitely helps out the channel, and still trying to obviously grow. Spinning, spinning, spinning. There it goes. We will see if I can get interesting things to happen this time. I will make sure to pay more attention. And cheat if I have to. one of the fun things. I can see the logs, so I kind of know what's going to happen. If you're wondering, the portcullises are designed intentionally to be easy to open. There's almost always just a lever to open them. Some of them can be a little bit more difficult to solve. We will see. Oh, we get another dwarf to talk to. Homeless dwarf. Talk. Oh, so you be Glane, then. And what brings you here? What brings you here? I'm investigating the mines. Investigating the mines. Do you know anything about what might be causing the recent activity? This guy's kind of fun because he definitely talks with a heavy Dwarven accent. I'm afraid I don't know much about what's been going on in the mines lately. I've been mostly keeping to myself here. But I can tell you that things haven't been quite right lately. There's been strange sounds echoing through the tunnels, and I've seen odd creatures lurking about. Be careful, friend. Odd creatures? Aye. Some sort of tiny golems made of tin. They're vicious little things. One of them managed to get a good swipe at me before I could run away. Left me with this nasty gash on me arm. Do you need some healing, friend? Aye, that'd be much appreciated. I'm not as young as I used to be, and these old bones don't heal as fast. Thank you kindly, friend. So, second NPC that you can actually have an encounter with. And here we go with another bookcase. Will we get chapter 7 again? Klain walked towards the simple bookshelf, hoping to find some clues about the recent activities in the abandoned mine. She scanned the books, but to her disappointment, there were just a cluster of dusty old tomes on Dwarven history and mining techniques. She flipped through the pages, her eyes caught on the ancient-looking maps. She quickly grabbed and examined them, but no book. No book. We do have some more portcullises to open. And more forges. The homeless dwarf is a whole lot of fun. You can have some interesting conversations with him. I think NPC talking is one of the most fun things about the game. And just the sheer variety of NPCs that can be created is amazing. Ooh, there's another bookshelf. We'll see if this one has a useful book for Sneaker. Klain approached the book and watched her eyes scanning the few dusty tomes that rest upon its shelves. She ran her fingers across the spine, but found nothing of interest. She sighed slightly in disappointment. Yeah, no books. The game just wants Sneaker to have to collect them all himself. Or themselves. We've already talked to the dwarf, and we've already done that. Already been here. Ooh, steam vent again. This is a tough one. Oof, but I leveled. Examine. Dun, dun, dun. As Glenn stood in front of the small vent in the ground, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Though it was not blowing any air at the moment, she knew that it was likely connected to something deeper within the mines. She noticed that there were faint scratches around the edges of the vent, as if something had tried to pry it open before. Glenn closed her eyes, focused on her earth magic on the vent, and felt slight vibrations coming from deep below, almost like a heartbeat. She knew that this was only the first item in a sequence that she needed to find to unravel the mysteries of the mine. Whatever lay beyond the vent was likely dangerous, but as an adventurer, Glenn was ready for anything. So that's the first one. Ooh, 3 forges and a book. So I will attempt to find the second one of that series and activate that one second. Do we get a book? Do we get a book? Her eyes scanning the titles of the dusty tomes on the shelves. Her fingers trailed over the spines until they came to rest on one that looked particularly interesting. With care, she pulled from its resting place, dusted it off. The title read, Golem Construction Manual, Introduction. Curiosity piqued, Glenn began to flip through the pages of the book. In the ancient pages were filled with detailed illustrations and diagrams of various golems, earth golems, fire golems, ice golems, and more. The introduction, written by the master craftsman of Grindosh, spoke of the intricate process of golem crafting, from mining to enchantment. It was clear that this book had been written with great care and precision, with the purpose of preserving the knowledge of golem crafting for future generations. Glenn could see the importance of such knowledge in her mission to investigate the activities of the mines of Greendosh. The book would be an invaluable resource in her quest to uncover the secrets. And there we go. More wonderful lore. I will let people pause that want to go ahead and read this for themselves, but I will not read this aloud. I wonder if Sneaker is pausing the video so he can watch. What else can I do? Where have I not been? Lots of places. I have not found any of theirs. Ooh. So there's something we haven't seen before. There's an earth elemental. Whew. Don't know where an earth elemental came from. Another bookshelf, though. But nothing of interest. Nothing of interest. This has been a bad run of books. Glenn approached the simple wooden bookshelf for her curiosity, hoping to find some clues about the recent activities in the Grindosh mines. She scanned through the books, but they all seemed to be about basic mining techniques and equipment, nothing that could help her investigate further. She moved on to the next shelf. Yeah. And ooh, we've got a brazier. I think the part of me is trying to say Gringosh, which is the Dwarven mine or the Goblin mine in Harry Potter. But yes, I am not pronouncing it correct. It is Grindosh. Blech. I do not have a proper Dwarven accent. Yes, Gringotts. That's what my mind is trying to say, but not able to. but it is not that. Uh, it is its own thing. I just can't speak with the proper dwarven accent to say the words. Yes, that would be a wonderful thing. Sorry, trying to see in the logs which one this is. Oh, this is also one of two. So we need to go find the twos of twos. And we haven't seen any of the doors yet. There's another one of you. Wow. Drink a bot. So the proper pronunciation is the guttural G R I dash without the N. I just cannot do that right now. Ah, there's the door. All right, this will help explain things. Graidosh. Graidosh. Something to that effect. Except add about 6 more ales in there, and you'd get the idea. Grain stood before the circular door, her eyes transfixed on the intricate carvings of the surface. The left section depicted swirly currents of air, while the right showed the solid, grounded nature of the earth. The details were so finely etched that it appeared as if she could reach out and touch the elements themselves. Her mind was racing with questions. What lay beyond the door? What were these two elements so prominently displayed? And what could have crafted such a masterpiece? Was it the dwarves of Grandosh? Or something more ancient and mysterious? She longed to know the answers, but for now, she could only stare in awe at the locked stone door before her. And here's the other one. Greidosh. Now I'm going to dream in Dwarven. So, thanks for that, Sneaker. Good times. Lane stood before the locked circular door, her eyes fixed on the two sections that divided it. In the left section it appeared a fierce inferno with the flames licking at the edges of the stones. The right section showed a rugged, rocky terrain with boulders and crags dotted into the surface. She gazed at the intricate details of the carvings, noting that the flames seemed to dance and flicker against the stone. The earth section, on the other hand, was rough, unyielding, and solid. It spoke of strength and stability, attributes that were reassuring to her Earthward's wizard abilities. Clayne wondered what lay beyond the door and what secrets the Dwarven kingdom had hidden behind it. She vowed to find a way to unlock it and discover the truth. So both the number 2s are rock. Ooh, we've got 2 rock elementals here. This is not going to be fun. Oh, should have drank a pot. I pressed my luck a little too far, apparently. Oh, no. Wow. I killed the The earth golems. Glenn stood in front of the active forge, watching as the molten metal glowed a bright orange. She listened to the rhythmic clanging of the hammer as it struck the anvil, shaping the metal into various tools and weapons. The heat emanating from the forge made her sweat beneath her armor as she remained focused on her attack. Suddenly the flames flickered and danced, and a tiny golem emerged from the melting pot. Glenn remained still, watching as it took shape before her eyes.
I wish I could.
Okay, Siri. Suddenly the flames flicked and danced, and a tin golem emerged from the melting pot. Glenn remained still, watching as it took shape before her eyes. The golem's movements were slow and deliberate as it lifted itself from the pot and stood before her. Glenn raised her warhammer, ready to defend herself if necessary, but the golem simply stood there, its tin body reflecting the light of the forge. She watched as it slowly turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows. Glenn couldn't help but wonder who had summoned the golem and what its purpose was. She had made a mental note to keep her guard up as she continued to investigate the mines. So I did not lose the battle. It was just that the timing was such that me defeating the earth golems coincided with the summoning of a tin golem. Okay, this could go badly. Interact with the second of two. Glenn swung her rare warhammer with precision, striking the picks against the interesting rock formation with all her might. She chiseled away piece by piece until she finally hit a spot where the rock cried out in pain, and she continued to hammer away. A glowing gemstone suddenly jolted out of the rock and flew towards the stone door on the other side of the room. Glenn paused, her heart racing as she watched the gemstone disappear into the door. She knew that there was something important beyond the door, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride for figuring out how to unlock it. She wiped the sweat from her brow and continued to hammer away at the rock formation, determined to find whatever other secrets lied within the mine. And now I can drink another pot just in case. And that's interesting. Oh, there's still other rooms that I haven't been to. Oh, stupid. 10 golems, but if you notice, I'm gaining levels pretty quickly. I'm already up to 3-3. Which is also one of the points of the starter dungeon, is to get people to level up, because leveling up is fun and important. Ooh, another bookshelf. Do we get another book? We will see. We do get another book. Glenn approached a simple wooden bookshelf and scanned through the titles of the books. Most of them appeared dusty and old, with titles like The Lost Mines of Grydosh, the Fall of the Great Dwarven Kingdoms. However, one book caught her attention, Golem Construction Manual, Conclusion. It looked fairly new, unlike any of the others, and the title intrigued her. She took it off from the shelves and flipped through the pages. The book was written by Master Almadesh, one of the most renowned golem craftsmen of Grydosh. And she read the chapter. She felt a sense of admiration for Grydosh dwarves and their dedication to their craft. She hoped that this knowledge would not be lost to time and that someday someone would continue their legacy. She placed the book back onto the shelf gently, feeling a newfound respect for their forgotten craftsmanship. And here's the book. Lots and lots of lore to read through. Lots and lots of fun lore. In the name of Grydosh, I, Master Almadesh, son of Thrimdon, hereby entrust this manual to the hands of those that will carry out our legacy forward. And I do so with the hope and conviction that our people will continue to shine as a beacon of ingenuity and excellence as in the realm of golem crafting and beyond. Unfortunately, your empire is no more. But I think I actually told Sneaker this, that if you actually collect every book, you'd be able to craft one of the golems that would then assist you as a companion. Another book. So you could have an iron golem or a tin golem or a stone golem help you out in your adventures. What makes you think that the dwarves that have been dead for 500 years are related to cultists of mere activities? That would be my question. Uh, ooh, this is chapter 8, the Elite Warriors. The pages show illustrations of silver and gold golems towering over constructs of metal and magic that appear to be the ultimate weapons in any battle. Glenn carefully read through the chapter, absorbing every detail about these powerful constructs. She notes that how the silver golems are masters of melee combat, while the gold golems can harness elemental magic with precision. As she finishes reading, Glenn can feel a sense of excitement building within her. With this knowledge, she may be able to uncover the sources of the renewed activity within the minds of Gringosh. Dosh. But yes, here is this book for those that want to pause and read for themselves. Good times. Now I'm just revealing too much. What makes you think I would allow that? Super powerful gold golem. Alright, there's the wind is somewhere here. Good times. Oh, don't die. That'd be a bad thing. There we go. There's the air tunnel somewhere here. Of course, I didn't use my map. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. I forget where the other possible cool stuff is. Oh, there's fire. And don't expect the construction of golems anytime soon. That'll be a ways off. Although that might be the other thing that I need to do before I release this to a broader audience, is actually make the collectibles collectible. Because that's probably an important thing too. That way people's progress in collecting books isn't just lost. But I've gotten plenty of books this run. Good old collectibles. Good old collectibles. Everyone loves collectibles, right? And achievements. Everyone loves those things. Okay, so I blew that up and had to fight a fire elemental. which means I should ignite this thing. So fire, earth, and maybe we'll talk to the dwarf artificer again. Maybe. Hard to know. That's down this way. We've already talked to you. There's the one. And I think everyone likes collectibles, so that will definitely be part of the game at some point. But like I've said, right now I'm focused on the... Oh, that one summoned an earth elemental. So, obviously elemental doors are tied to elements in the world. Where is the... other earth? Drink a potion, which is why there's so many potions available. Why am I using the wrong spell? There's the one that will unlock the door. And that also means I can't summon an air elemental. Darn it. Oh well. That would have been kind of cool. Hey, we can talk to the dwarf again. Alright, Zuko or Sneaker, you guys can take over this conversation. Ah, I see. You say you were sent by Queen Yantaliga, is that right? I'm afraid I haven't heard of any such things, but I suppose the Queen would know who to send for her investigations. What can you tell? Have you noticed any activities in the mine? Well, I have noticed that the forges have been lit recently, and that tiny little tin golems have been attacking anyone who dares approach them. It's been quite a nuisance for me, to be honest. So the tin golems are attacking you too? Dun, 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 dun. Well, that's our 2 hours. That's a bug. Only one bug today. I hate to break it to you, Sneaker, but that is a her. That is a dwarven female. Good times, right? Good times. So only one bug today, so that's not too terrible. I need to make note of that one. But yeah, it is kind of hard to tell from the size of the picture. But yeah, that is oh, doesn't wanna open. Oh, never mind. It's doing bad things. Anyway. So unless there are any other questions, that'll be it for the evening. So thanks everyone for coming out and watching and hanging out and seeing Demo 4 of the abandoned Dwarven mines of Grydosh. Grydosh. I need to have some more ale before I do these more Dwarven dungeon levels again. Or maybe I should just take a shot every time I have to say that. That'd make for an entertaining stream. That'd make for a very entertaining stream. And for those people on the East Coast, may the 4th be with you for Star Wars Day. For all you Star Wars fans out there. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming out, and hope to see you on Discord, and especially look forward to getting this game out to the broader alpha testers and letting people play the game and have a good time with it and provide a bunch of feedback. And see you guys in a couple weeks.